Hello and welcome to another very interesting Projection 3D video tutorial. Today we'll create this beautiful scene with a clock in it and make it look like we're speeding up time with this very cool effect. So if you're ready, let's get started. First, let's drag our image here, and then we'll create a new 9020 by 1080 comp. Let's set duration to 4.10 seconds. Cool. Now let's drag our image into composition window. I'll reduce the scale and then match the camera. And then I'm gonna do it in F-Spy because this camera matching software is free and very useful. For vanishing point axis, select first one to Y and the second one to Z. And then adjust Z-axis arrows. Match the line along the left side of the building and match the second one along the right side. Okay, and then do the same for Y-axis arrows. They must move into the depth of the picture. Alright, now let's export camera parameters as JSON. Go back to After Effects, select our image and import camera. Okay, now let's see. Back side, left side. Uncheck the bottom side because we don't need it. Also, let's adjust the grid a little bit. Let's show hidden layers, uncheck scaling on all axes, and reduce the grid along X. Then move left like this. And also reduce a little more. You can, of course, import the camera and leave everything as it is. I'm just doing this to make our work easier. Now that we match our grid, we can now create all three buildings with just one click. Alright, also increase the grid along the Y. Enable right side. As you can see, all the lines perfectly follow contours of the buildings. So let's go ahead and select camera and image and create a projection. Good. Double-click second scene. Using helper grid properties, create a surface. Alright, back side, left side, and the right side. Good. Now let's switch to top view. Now, actually, it's better to switch to custom. Then I'll just reduce the scale using camera tool. And look, using selection tool, I move back the central layer. Done. And now I just go back to active camera view and adjust layer scale. And also move up along Y. Great. Now I'm going to draw a mask along the outlines of this building here. And that's done. Now select the left side and mask the left building. As well as the right one. Great, let's have a look. Now, as you can see, the buildings are already in 3D space, and we can orbit the camera and see how their position changes. Now we need to create a clock model in the foreground and erase the clock from the building texture. So let's go back to default position and do that. Let's go to the second scene. Make a clock, add a plane primitive, click R to open orientation and change X rotation to 90 degrees. Then go to top view, move the plane closer to the camera. Look at the building in the back. I'll switch to custom view to make it easier to understand where buildings and clocks are in terms of space. See? The clock, or layer that will become the clock, is right in front of the camera. So I'll just go back to active camera view. Drag down the plane so that it covers the clock. And so now I'm going to mask the clock. This is great. Now let's go ahead and duplicate plane surface. Now I hit the plane and move back along the Z, like this. It should cover the back side of the clock. Then I'll select both planes and create a surface using Mask Modeler. Create surface. Good. I can now delete the back plane. We don't need it anymore. Enable this front side here. All right. Next, let's make a cylinder primitive. And we'll make a foundation now. Switch to top view. Adjust position and reduce the scale. Let's see. Also, let's adjust the left view position. Good. Let's reduce it a little bit more. And move up along the Y. And then scale. Let's see what it looks like from the left. Great, it's done. Now I'm going to animate the camera to see what kind of result we get. I'll add keys on position and point of interest. Then I'll head over to the 4th second and make some movement using camera tool. That's great, I think it looks good. Now let's head over to Keyframe Assistant and select Easy Ease. Let's check it now. That looks good. Although, we should be able to see that part of the clock face in playback. As you can see, at the moment it doesn't happen. We need to make it appear gradually. To do that, I'll head over to the second scene. Select clock face, click M to open the mask, and duplicate it. Double click, Ctrl Shift, and drag to reduce it. Cool. Let's see. Looks like we need to remove the inner surface. So select second mask and change mask mode to subtract. Alright, now we get what we wanted. Now let's go ahead and duplicate plane surface. I'm going to go ahead and click M, delete mask 1, and then using selection tool, move the clock face back along Z, like this. Now it's where it should be. Let's have a look. This is strange. We shouldn't see this hole. That's right, we forgot to change mask mode to add. See? Now we see that part we couldn't see before. Now I have to create this inner part of the surface. So I'll just duplicate this plane, click M, and delete the first outer mask. Then select both planes, open Mask Modeler, and create a surface. And it's done. You can delete this now. Let's see. There we go. Inner part, clock's face, and the outer part. This is great. Now let's fix this place here. To do this, we need to move the outer part to another projection copy so that the outer surface does not cover the inner surface. So I'll move this one to projection scene 1. And we need 3 projection copies. First one for the clock's outer parts, second one for the inner part, and the third one for the environment. Let's add one more scene. And also let's replace projection image of the second scene. So here in Photoshop, I have 3 images I prepared in advance. I didn't touch the first one, but in the second, I restored the invisible part of the clock's face. And on the third, I completely erased the clock and restored the building from behind. Select that, click OK. As you can see, something's not right. Let's see why that happens. Okay, so you can see that this is the outer part of the clock. And we have to move it to the first projection copy. So cut it and move it to projection scene 1. That's great. Let's take a look again. Let's also replace the image in projection scene 3. To do this, I'll select Clock BG. Nothing happened yet because we haven't moved the building models into projection copy. So I'll go to projection scene 2 and do that. Cut and paste. Awesome. As you can see, there's no clock there. Let's check it now. This one's environment. This one's clock inner part, and this one is the outer part. But we don't need this bit, this one under the clock. Now we need to cut this area right here. So I'll go to projection scene 1 and hit that model. Select camera tool, Switch to custom view, move camera to see the surface, and then using selection tool, I simply select top part of the surface and delete those segments there. Let's see what just happened. As you can see, it looks right. No artifacts whatsoever. Cool. Now let's add inner part. Looks right. And again, no artifacts. That's all great. And now let's add the environment. Looks good. All we have to do is fix one more thing. In projection scene 2, there's this object. I'll cut it and move it to the first scene. And let's have a look again. And now it looks all right. Also, let's fix this part of the building really quickly. In the third scene, select the right building and fix the mask. Also, if you look here, you can see that the edges are very sharp, and in order to make them softer, we need to increase the mask feather. So let's set mask feather to 10 for all buildings. Very well. Let's see. Great. Now let's head over to the second scene and let's make the hands. So first I'll duplicate this plane, open material options, disable accept shadows. And then I'm gonna go to layer, solid settings, and change solid color. Choose color from here. Switch to front view. Should look at the surface from the right angle. Now let's make sure the anchor point is set to the center. Click here. Well, looks like it's not the center, but now it's right where we need it. Let's open position and raise it a little more, because right now it's under the watch. I'll set it to -600. Disable this to see the watch. And also let's mask the arrow. All right, that's done. Now let's delete this mask. And we did that big arrow there. Maybe we just need to correct it a little bit more. Cool. Let's duplicate that. I'll go ahead and open orientation tab and rotate the new one along Z. Make this arrow smaller. All right. Now let's animate. Click R to open orientation and set key on Z rotation. Then on the 4th second, rotate the arrow. Cool. Now it shows 9 o'clock. Then do the same with the big one. Good. Let's pre-render and see. Cool. We'll make this easy ease. And maybe just add shadow to make it look more realistic. For this, I'll head over to Effect, then Perspective, and choose Drop Shadow. And adjust settings until it feels right. Excellent. All right, and so lastly, let's put a bigger arrow on top of a small one. We'll set it to -601. Cool. Now that we've done that, we only need to add the sky and animate lighting a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new solid. Let's put it at the bottom. Then go to Effect, Generate, and add Gradient Ramp. Let's make it start here. And we're going to make it end there. All right, now pick Start Color from here. And let's also adjust the end color. Great. Now add keys to start and end colors. We'll go to the 4-second, and we're going to make colors a little darker. As a 1 hour passed, and it got a little darker. Also, let's make buildings darker. Select Projection Scene 3 and add Brightness and Contrast Effect. We'll reduce brightness. And that seems about enough. Adjust the sky a little bit more. And I think that's great. Let's also animate brightness and contrast. Move time indicator to the end of the comp and add keys. And get back to the first frame and reset parameters. Let's see. Not bad at all. Maybe we just need to play with the color of the sky a little bit more. Good. Let's pre-render and see. Looks good. And our animation is ready. Now just to add light in some of the windows. So I'll head over to the third scene. And I'm going to duplicate back layer and head over to material options to turn off accept shadows. I'm going to delete the solid mask. Close this to see the windows. And let's draw a mask and some of the windows. Like so. Let's turn this back on. Draw other masks in those windows. Good. That seems to be enough. All right, we're done here. Now let's also change the color, and we'll pick it from here. I'm gonna add some glow, adjust settings. I think we should make it look more orange. Good. That looks well. And let's also add mask feather. Should also look better if we reduce the mask expansion just a little bit. All right, let's see. Looks good. And adjust a little bit more over here. Let's move this layer to the main comp. Put it on top of projections 3. Now let's animate the mask so that the lights and the windows doesn't appear simultaneously. Select mask 1, open mask opacity, add a key, and reset value to 0. I'll move the time indicator forward 2 frames and increase mask opacity to 100. Cool, we just animated the light. We can move it forward on the timeline. Now let's quickly animate the rest of the masks. So just copy those keys, select second mask, and paste over it. Alright, now for the third mask, move forward in time and paste. And do the same with other masks. And we're done. Let's pre-render and have a look. If you want, you can move the keys, adjust the light appearing in the windows to your liking. Pre-render again. Great, I love it. Let's just maybe add a bit more sharpness to our scene. We'll create adjustment layer, put it on top of the third scene, and add sharpen. And let's set the amount to 50. Then increase the scale of projection scene 3 to hide those white artifacts on the edges. Also, let's increase shadow map resolution of all projection scenes and set it to maximum quality. All right. Also, we need to soften the edges of the watch. So make sure projection scene 1 is selected and click Utilities, Blur Edges. Reduce choke matte value to 2. See the difference? All right, our scene is almost ready. And also, I'd like to change the camera animation a little bit before rendering. I'll move this key to the end of the comp. And then I'm going to open Graph Editor and adjust the key a little bit more. I'll click here and select Edit Speed Graph. Drag this handle to the left. Now stopping the camera at the end will make it look even smoother. Okay, let's pre-render and see the result. Yep, we finished it all right. You can also put the city image behind the projection to make the background look kind of richer if you want. Okay, that's it guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.